Welcome to the Running Network Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
Well, we here have legendary runner and rider George Hirsch, who is going to be giving out the Hall of Fame awards. And I got a couple of questions here for him. First of all, what do you think about this year's marathon for starters, George?
You know, this year's marathon is just shaping up in every way to be perfect. Last year, there were a lot of questions. Obviously, there were all the questions about security following the Boston bombing. And the media really rightly wanted to get into security. And then, of course, before that, it was Hurricane Sandy. So this year, the storylines are all about the race, whether it's the elite runners or some of the interesting stories like Caroline Wozniacki, the great tennis player who's running. And of course, that's nice as far as we're concerned. So it's very positive.
And now, obviously, you ran this many times. How many times did you run it?
You know, I haven't run New York many times, partly because of my long history with the race. I've always been so busy this week. The truth it is, I ran the first 3 5-borough marathons, 76, 77, and 78, all won by Bill Rogers. And then 20 years ago with my son David, I ran in 94, which was the year that Fred Lebo died. And it was some weeks after that. And that was a real tribute, that race, to Fred. And then I ran it when I turned 75, and that was my final marathon. I promised my wife Shay that I wasn't going to run anymore, and so I ran Chicago 3 weeks earlier, and then I ran New York, and now I'm a retired marathon runner.
Well, hey, I guess we can't run forever.
No, but you can keep running these shorter distances, and I actually ran the Staten Island Half Marathon 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
And they don't get easier. They
No.
do not get easier.
No, they
So,
don't.
no.
Well, the big question is, you've been a media writer and all this other stuff for years. So now, and I'm doing the media thing, what do you think is the most difficult thing for media people to be able to do now, covering the sport of running and track and field? And, since it's an amateur sport, and of course, most of us are kind of digging out of our own pockets or very limited funds by small magazines.
Yeah. Well, we got another media legend here, Larry Rawson. I think the biggest thing, and I'm not talking about digging it out of your own pocket or how you get finance, because that's not easy as print magazines, newspapers are all cutting back and struggling. But I think the biggest thing, you get a massive event like this is looking to do some good original work. I mean, it's awfully easy to come in here as a journalist and do the same story that you're going to pick up in every other newspaper, and to find an interesting angle, however you can, and to do fresh work. That's what I think is important. Yeah.
And, this race with 50,000 runners now, and of course there's a story of every runner in here, and you got the elites, but, in your opinion, what do you think would be like a super interesting story, and whether it's an elite or just the average person, of them coming in here and fighting adversity just to get here or whatever? I mean, you've covered this sport for 40 years, this race. I mean, what's one of the most unique things that ever happened with an athlete, just getting here or running the race or something like that?
Well, there's a lot of things. We're honoring in the Hall of Fame today Herman Silva, and I think his finish is one of the most unique and fun thing, because it turned out well. But the idea of a runner at the late stages of the world's greatest marathon turning off the course, heading into the park, one turn too early, having to turn around and do a 180 degree turn in a marathon after you've run just about 26 miles, that's no easy deal. And by then he had lost the lead. So he had to chase down. It was a training partner of his from Mexico, and he had to chase him down. That was. I don't think you can beat that. We've had close finishes. Rod Dixon and Jeff Smith, and even closer was Paul Turgot. You know, I mean, we've had that was within a second, and Heinrich, right? So Ramallah. So, you know, I think it's stories like that live on and on and on. That to me would be the most memorable finish.
For sure, and then people who spend the whole day, some veterans or whatever, doing the race with one leg or having to crawl through the course and being out there all day.
There's so many.
And we're waiting for them at the next day.
There are so many compelling stories in a marathon. People running it for personal reasons, for philanthropic reasons, for some loved one. No, I think that's what makes the marathon, so inviting to people. Yeah.
Well, it changes. If you run a marathon, and it changed my life and probably yours, it changes your life forever when you run a marathon.
Where would we be without running?
You got it.
I mean, we'd have to earn a living in finance at, right.
Or as an electrician.
Well, you do earn a living in finance, but you're not having as much fun as you are when you're covering these kinds of events. That's for sure. Yeah,
for sure.
No.
Well,
we're privileged to be part of this. You are, I am, Larry is. I mean, really, just to think that we get to do this, and sometimes even people pay us for this.